Okay.
如果正确的话，直接就出咖啡了。哦，这样。对，它有时候会弄得很奇怪，就是我也经常会出现这种问题。
那我们开始。OK。应该有最好。会影响这个吗？跟他说啊，没事。如果需要话筒的话，就放一个。All right, ladies and gentlemen, attention here. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Cool, nice. Maybe not the mic anymore. Okay. Yeah, like feel free to sit over here because you probably need to. Like for the first hour, it's fine if you just listen. For the second hour, we probably want to have your laptop open here, so you can try things over here, and that should be the case how it works. Yeah. So this is the first workshop of the Shanghai 2025. I guess we're going to dive a little bit into vibe coding in general. So this is so before we actually start, right? I have two questions for everybody. One, how many of you are just like beginners here? Like just beginners into coding or Web3 coding in general? You know, you're like more of a creator but not a coder. How many like creators, beginner level here? Okay, good. Beginners? Okay. How many of you are good Web2 coders but not Web3 coders? Okay. Okay. How many of you identifies yourself as proficient Web3 builders? Okay, that's a lot of people. I love it. All right. All right. Don't be afraid. Like if you're not and you pretend as one, I'm not going to call you out, right? I don't know you personally. Now, happy to introduce myself again. My name is Derek. I'm the technical BD at Nora. We are a little startup that joined here. You know, also we're part of the participants here. We're a early stage Web3 startups. We do specifically about vibe coding for Web3. So that's give us a little bit of edge in the whole vibe coding for Web3 and vibe coding in general. So I used to work in Near Foundation and a few other companies before that, and now I'm just in the team with other people who has pretty good backgrounds. They're from MIT, from Google DeepMind's, Metalama, and those people are just great in the industry. I'm happy to pass on some experience to you guys. So yeah, without further ado, let's actually start it. So it's happy to see a lot of you are proficient devs. So you guys should know some of these as well. All right, one last question actually. How many one of you are not confident, like, in English, and you want me to say this in Chinese? I know there's some. 有哪些人需要我每一段都用中文、英文都解释一遍？ Just English? It's fine? Okay, let's do it. All right, let's do it. So the first 45 minutes, you guys are fine to listen. It means that we're just having an overall intro of vibe coding in Web 2 as well as Web 3. In the next, we're probably gonna have a 15-minute break, and after that, in the next 45 minutes, we're gonna teach you how to do hands-on vibe coding with Nora. Right, so that's more of a Web3 compartment. So I try my best to make sure all levels are covered. So if you're just a beginner, you're not going to be left out. And especially like if you're a proficient dev, I want to give you a few more options, especially perspectives for myself. Okay. So vibe coding for Web3. This is the first line that I think it's a pretty common knowledge for some of us, but obviously this doesn't seem to be a consensus for everyone. How many people agree with this? How many people disagree? Okay, who disagree? You disagree? The AI researcher disagree? Okay. This is something I have been listening to people saying ever since I would say the February of this year. Let's do a little bit of recap on the overall history. Let's just try to bring it up real quick. So the whole vibe coding sort of starts. So if you guys, I don't know if you guys remember this, the actual usable version of ChatGPT came out in the end of 2022, right? And then, I was a college student and started using it for essays and stuff, but the actual so Cursor started out in 2023, and actual usable, back then some people already realized this will be the future for codes, and the actual usable version of Cursor and also the other kind of vibe coding tools happened also in 2024. So that was just last year, right? Within just 1 year, Cursor and Windsurf grows to a significantly, I don't know the valuation right now, it's probably in billions or something. And the daily users has grown to maybe at least, I wouldn't say million, but it's maybe 1/10 of a million, something like that, 100K or something. And the penetration to daily devs, especially the people who are doing more repetitive work, but not CTO's work, is crazy. It's predicted to be 60 or to 70%. Because you're literally spending $20 a month to let ChatGPT wrote a passage that you do not want to do it personally. Okay, that's what it makes sense. So I personally strongly related to this comment. It's just I see how content creators, especially writers, they're getting chased out of their job by ChatGPT, right? Coders who only know how to handwritten codes are eventually, if not now, eventually going to be unemployed, right? That's a very simple thing for us to know. So let's talk about vibe coding in general for beginners, right? Vibe coding is literally how you do coding in the same way that you ask ChatGPT to write a passage for you. Okay, if you ask them to write, hey, I want a marketing material for something for event, right? And just generate out hey, here's the slogan, here's the one-liner, here's the one paragraph introduction. It's the same thing that you do in vibe coding. There are different categories. We're going to cover that later. But right now, think of it as a ChatGPT, but only for developers. You give them a prompt. It's the same way, and I'll spit out the fully ready code for you. And all you need to do is just a little bit of knowledge about how to deploy it and how to run on a local host, maybe put it on a server or something, maybe register for AWS or anything like that. And you run it on the server, and boom, you have everything ready. So that's pretty much how proficient these are. But just like ChatGPT make mistakes and make really, weird sentences in a passage, right? Vibe coding tools right now still make mistakes, bugs, everything. It's not perfect. It's not complete. And so you still need a working knowledge of a developer to make sure it's actually working. So which is why you guys have edges right now, right? If you're a proficient dev in Web3, you have a great edge over people who actually do not know about coding into vibe coding. Right. So enough for beginner knowledge. Let's do a tools overview. Right. So I'm going to introduce several tools for vibe coding, especially in Web3. So first, let's skip CLI. Right. So if you don't know, CLI is when you open a terminal. For beginners, it's a little black box thingy, right? Where you have to type in all those directories and everything, and ask your laptop to directly run something on itself, right? Let's skip that because if you're a beginner, you're not forget about it. Okay, so Cloud Code belongs to this level. Gemini CLI belongs to this level. They're really great, but I'm going to cover that later. But if you're really great, I'm not going to cover that right now. I'm going to cover it at the very end of this section. Okay. What I'm going to do is IDEs. Okay. The IDE is the same thing as a VS Code, which is pretty similar via interaction mode just like ChatGPT. You ask them to do something via a simple line of command, it's going to write it out for you. Okay? Let's start with the most prominent tool of that today, which is Nora's biggest competitor. I still have to introduce it, which sort of annoyed me a little bit. But Cursor, this is the biggest tool that everyone has ever used. This is the biggest. This is one that takes up the biggest market share right now, and this is one with a great advantage over any other tool that's ever been on the market. Okay, Cursor, I suggest if you're a Web3 coder or not, or plan to write contracts or plan not, you have to download this because this is kind of cheap. This works great, and this works great for general coding. And this pretty much, if you're, no matter what level you are, it gives you boosted speed by like maybe, like 10x or something, right? So I've listed some of the existing features on it. It's a fork of VS Code. Pretty much all the Web toolings are. VS Code is the most prominent. Think about like for beginners, right? Like for proficient devs, obviously you already know what VS Code is, right? For beginners, it's basically an editor where you write your code in it and you start to run it, right? But if it's based on VS Code, the biggest advantage is that you can carry over everything that you've already installed and then extensions, everything, and you can start doing it, right? So there's composer and agent mode. Most people just use agent mode. You cannot pick which model you want to use. But basically, if it's for general coding, you can do it with everything. So I was going to show you something on my laptop, but this one's not working. So in that laptop, I don't think anything is pretty much I don't think I can show anything up there now. But no, it's fine, it's fine. So I suggest that if you're new to this, try something with Cursor, which is really quick. And if you want, you can do it now because Cursor didn't take time to actually do something, right? The prompt I would usually suggest them to do is build me a personal website that, whatever you can do, right? Put it on, just generate something in ChatGPT, right? Like, hey, my name is Derek, and I'm a student at blah, blah, blah. I like blah, blah, blah. And ask me to generate a content for a personal website and copy and paste that whole thing into the Cursor, the chat box, and say, based on these, create me a personal website. And I just tried it online. Like the current speed is about 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, you have a fully up there workable personal website, which you can deploy on localhost, right? I don't know any of you has been a front-end dev like me, but like in the past, right? These kind of things take days. It takes about like 3 days, right? Absolutely, this works great. So about actual coding, right? We're going to dive into a few other traits over here. Cursor is the most prominent, but it has problems, right? So the problem is that if you're familiar with how Cursor has been evolving over the past year, Cursor started out just like ChatGPT, like 2, right? It's pretty dumb. Nobody used it. And after starting from the like early 2024 becoming usable, so a bunch of like Pythons and JavaScript people pick it up and start using it. And after that, Cursor becomes greater and greater until Claude Code came up. Because think about it, this is a funny business story, basically. Cursor uses Claude models to generate codes, right? But Claude itself has published Claude Code, which is a great competitor, right? So Cursor, on the other hand, 2 months ago, replied with one thing. So basically, Cursor has free plan and pro plan, right? The pro plan used to be limiting, so they have different calls. It's basically like you have a small brain, big brain, a small brain, mid brain, big brain, right? If you're on a free plan, you're always on the small brain. If you're a pro plan, you're always on the mid brain, but sometimes you have 200 calls on the big brain, okay? But 2 months ago, Cursor started opening up the big brain for every pro user. So for $20 a month, you can start using big brain, like the most powerful LLM model, and that had caused a chaos. And why is that? Because the LLM has capacities, right? You can't expect 10 billion people to use it all at the same time and still produces reasonable response, which is what happened 2 months ago. Devs start flooding over the most powerful model, flooding over the max calls, which is the calls to the biggest brain, and the code quality has gone way down after that, and especially for Solidity, right? So what it caused, which is the biggest problem with Cursor now, are two things. One, it false reports when you're maybe on the fourth sentence of the conversation, right? If you're asking you for the fourth time, it starts telling you, hey, I write this test file, but it's not there. If you go through the code base, it's actually not there. So if you're using Cursor, my suggestion is be very careful with whatever files that's in there. And especially if you're checking into maybe the fourth kind of things, you have to call it out. You have to call it out and be like, hey, you didn't write this. Write me this, like a really strict boss or something, but you have to push it to work. Debugging, Cursor works great. It's very capable with one thing, which is Cursor rules. In Claude Code is .mds. I suggest all of you to use it if you have not tried it before. which is you're able to set your own rules with cursor. By rules, I mean a constant, like a constant limitation has to follow. For example, there's one very common thing when you have to code for Web3 in Solidity is that you ask cursor to use Foundry, not hardhat, right? That's, hardhat is kind of the older model, still working now, right? Like the newest version works kind of great. But if you're going for like a long form code, Foundry is way more succinct. Hardhat will give you like lines on lines of code. And maybe it's good for you to report to your boss, be like, hey, I wrote like maybe like 10K lines of code today, but it doesn't actually work that great when you're, if you're a CTO or if you're collaborating with teammates, right? So rules are great, and those are just the most prominent thing right now. Let me give you a few other notes. So cursor is pretty good in multiple files. It has that context window built into changes. And it costs about $20 a month if you're, a proficient dev. And if you're like, I think if you're just basically, this is the most general tool. This is Google. This is, sort of things like that. Let's dive into a few other tools you might not checked out before. Okay. Tray. All right. Second one is Tray. How many people heard of Tray? One. Tray. Two. Okay, that's a bunch of people. Tray is from a Chinese company called ByteDance. If you don't know ByteDance, it's TikTok, right? It's what basically caused the. If you don't know TikTok, a Singaporean guy be like in a U.S. senator be like, Senator, I'm Singaporean, that guy, right? That guy, just like, are you Chinese? Senator, I'm Singaporean. Are you related to the Chinese? Senator, I'm Singaporean. That guy is from ByteDance. That guy is the CEO of TikTok, which is a child company of ByteDance, which is pretty much a giant in China right now, and they produce this. So this is pretty good. And if you're familiar with how the Chinese internet giants works, right? This thing carries over the MO of it. This thing carries over the usual approach. If you see the second line, initially, it's free with all the best models, right? And after you develop a habit into using it, it starts charging you, right? This is how it used to be. I think it still works on. I think it still has kind of a price advantage, right? If you're looking for like a cost-effective option, it's a very good option because for $20, I think you can put into more call requests than Cursor, anything else. And I think you can now use like GPT, Claude Sonnet behind the scenes. And the best thing of it is like it's marketed as faster requests, right? So you don't have to spend like 3 to 20 minutes waiting on every request. The usual time is less than three, kind of like three minutes if I remember, right? It's easy setup, pretty good for devs, and especially good for UIs. If you check that out, like there's UI pretty good, and like I think it was rated as the best one for students because it's cost effective, it's lightweight, and there's a lot of things like that. But for a heavy user, it's not going to be enough. Okay, and there have been some concern, unfortunately, over the MO, right? Because obviously it allowed, when you're using it, you basically give them your data, right? And some people are like, okay, what if it's not safe? And it's one of the concerns, and so just keep it in mind, okay? Just keep it in mind. Yeah, but it's cheaper than Cursor, so. All right, so augment code. How many people have tried this one? Augment code? Oh, just one? Okay, great. Now, that means like, two. That means that introduction makes, it's useful to a lot of people over here. Augment code is something that was built into, it can either be built into VS Code or JetBrains, which is great if you're a Python coder, right? So if you're Python coder, JetBrains is something you cannot miss. It's kind of expensive, but for whatever Python that you're building, like this one is probably your go-to choice, right? If you're not using Cursor, or you don't want to like install something new onto your laptop. The good thing about it is that it's built for large projects, right? It's especially if you're working on something that's pretty big with teammates, or I'm thinking about something that maybe like supports something on real time, or something that supports like maybe like a very large website with maybe 20 subpages, or something like that, and it's pretty good, right? And the second thing is context window is pretty long. Like I think some people told me that was it's pretty long. It's enough to read documentations, right? So if you wanted to put like a whole section of something Web 2 right into it, for example, some newer, smaller languages maybe doesn't support, but it's based on some more basic languages. So you can just put the whole documentation in there and it'll read it for you. The IDE integration is pretty great. And it has a pretty deep integration with the PRs, all kind of things, right? If you're kind of, I don't know how heavy are you like a GitHub user, but it's pretty great in that. There are some quirks, right? Because it's integrated into too many IDEs, obviously it's kind of exposed to more bugs than it used to be. So there's kind of like, based on my research, there are plenty of bugs on there, but they usually get fixed very quickly, but sometimes just like really, really annoying. Like there's something like revert to checkpoint, there's like flaky, other kind of things. Yep. But for debugging, it's kind of like a great tool. I think debugging feature is like, better than a few others on the market. Is one of the best ones. It has the self-test driven coding, so basically it's like, it will automatically correct itself over everything and, like resolve all the breaking changes between versions and within APIs. Oh, but it doesn't have like, I don't see a lot of people in Solidity using it or in Web3 use it, right? So again, I know you guys are building like a Web3 project, but I will mention this later. I will highly suggest you guys to do like a cross, using which means you're not only using one, you're using multiple vibe coding tools for one project. I'll explain why later, but the basic point is like, every coding tool has the advantages, have what it does the best. So you kind of wanted to have the best of both worlds before you're letting one tool just run towards the end with everything, right? So that's something you might be worth considering. Another tool which is kind of similar to this is called KiloCode. This is one of the less known, right? How many people use KiloCode? Okay, dude, you guys are good. Okay, yeah. So KiloCode is something that's also this one is good because it's open source, right? That's the strength and the weakness. The strength because it's safe and you can see everything about it, and people are constantly updating PRs and everything. But the bad side of it is just like open source, so it's right. So if it's open source, it's just like people are keeping it for, like they're not going to hire as many people as Cursor. They're not as big of a dev team that's in the back end, like, sort of making better or but KiloCode is pretty safe. Early adopters says, the accuracy is really, really good. I don't know how it's actually like now. I was going to show you, but KiloCode is pretty good as well. They have free credits. So if you're just doing something really, really quick and you don't want it to pay for something, which I think Augmented Code lets you to pay from day one. It's like free 7 days, but you have to put in your credit card first. This one doesn't. They got free credits. And it's also a fork. It's just run inside VS Code. It's just like an extension page. And the learning curve is pretty small. They have like 4 different modes. Pick one as you can. And you don't have to manage API keys for anything. The debugging is not that great. The debugging is at least not that great compared to Augmented Code. I think people have been reporting as hallucinating sometimes. But yeah, it's been getting better. But this one has, because this one is an open source one, you have to sort of like pick your hero, right? You can pick your LLMs. So you can pick like specific LLMs trained on Solidity. Like there's a certain version of Codalama that's trained on Solidity, and you can pick that one, which is great for Web3 coders, right? So yeah, this is KiloCode. So yeah, if you're really, really flexible, if you just wanted to use it, you just wanted a quick fix or something like that, it's pretty customizable. We have free credits, and it's very transparent. So yeah, this is like, I can't find something about it. It's just like, well, I'm trying to find a like intro version for everything. This is like maybe the Model 3 of Tesla or something like that. But yeah, but this is overall pretty good. Yeah, let me try to wrap it up within 9 minutes so we can have some rest and finish this at 4. So there are 3 tools that I want to introduce specifically. I'm not going to list it out personally because those are pretty similar. There are front-end tools. So basically, you guys understand what is a front-end, back-end, right? Of course, yes. Okay, just checking it. All right. So these 3 tools, I personally love Lovable because Lovable give out the I think personally give out the best visual effects, right? If you tried it before, and I think those are all like on the website. You know, like they have web versions. You don't have to download anything. But these 3, I just recommended you to take advantage of them all. In the way that, first of all, they all give free credits, and second of all, they are pretty good in building a front end, building a website, and third of all, it's just easy, right? It's like even though you don't have any experiences about coding, and you want to try it, you can either use Claude or any of the 3. But unfortunately, Claude is banned in Singapore, which I don't know why. If you see this, Claude is banned. You know that, right? Like I was trying to log into Claude AI, like it just doesn't let me do that. It shows like like they're banned in some certain regions or something. You might want to use a certain other stuff. But those things are great. I personally, if you don't want to try all of them, I would personally recommend Lovable. Right, Lovable is has great visual effect. I think it's not going to be like great, something that follows your actual cursor when you're moving things, but it has pretty good button effects, it has like light effects, like shadows and everything, and it just takes 1 to 2 prompts, right? And sometimes you can yell at it, Like I find yelling make Lovable do better, which is a weird thing. I don't know why if it's just my Lovable or everybody's Lovable, but you're just telling you to make it better. Right? And in capital letters, like make it better, okay? It'll do something better, like, maybe tell them to like add shadows, add light effects, everything. Replic and V0 are good, and especially, they all do like I think they all do like a one-click deployment thing, and you get to like, copy the whole front-end code. And why is that important? Because what I just said is like you sort of have to cross-use everything. All the tools I just showed you before, they are functional in UIs, but they're not great in UIs. If you know what I'm talking about, if you click into that, you ask them to like generate UI for me, you will do that. But it looks like last century stuff. Like, it looks like I don't know, it looks like my I used to have a 90-year-old professor. He does PPTs and he wrote slides, and it looks just like how Cursor would do my UIs, like this is crazy. So what I suggest you is to generate the whole. So basically you figure out what you want to write, right? And you using Cursor and all the other tools to generate the backend, and you're picking up all the front end buttons or everything, and you take it as a sort of like as a command, maybe polishing it with ChatGPT, right? Like I personally just do that. Like I was constantly jumping in between like different AI tools. I just copy out the command. I put in ChatGPT like I'm gonna do something in Lovable, and please polish this request for me, and just letting it do all the different commands, generate all the necessary buttons, and you paste the ChatGPT results into Lovable, and you paste the Lovable HTML code back into Cursor, and let it be like, hey, you know what? Now I get a UI from my front end developer, and that I hire for maybe $20 a month, and connect the backend to the front end. Sometimes it has bugs. Like the only thing is lacking is consistency, right? Sometimes the front end and back end are not perfectly compatible, which you have to manually debug like a lot, right? Sometimes you're clicking here and clicking there, it's not working, especially when it's over maybe like 40K lines of code. It's maybe 10K is enough, like 10K or 40K lines of code. It makes it kind of hard to connect the front end and back end. If you want a working product for hackathons, you don't have to be. But if you want something that's actually working and stays on the internet, you really want to cross-use all of the things. Use these for front end, use those for back end, and connect them all together. That's what I'm suggesting. All right, so let's dive in a little bit into Web3, right? So let's be honest, like Web3 is not going to be the main part. Like it's going to be a main part, but it's not going to be like 100% of your code, right? Solidity contracts are only going to take part of that, and especially when you're diving into this, it's going to be a little bit different. So now this part is like really usable to, if you're like a proficient dev, this is really usable to you. None of the tools I mentioned before are customized for Web3. they're not optimized, except for open sourced kilocode, which you can actually adopt as certain LLMs. But all of those are not good for Web3. We have a couple findings when we're researching it, when we first started doing Nora. Claude Code is probably the most performant one for Web3 like contracts. But first of all, it's not beginner friendly. And second of all, for very sensitive stuff, it's just not the best practice. For example, like I don't know if you've heard of something called the reentrancy exploits. It's pretty common. It's very well spread. In a few of our practices, we find that Claude Code is using a way that's very easy for hackers to gain access. That's because those things are referenced in Open Zeppelin libraries, but those are not like specifically like Claude Code doesn't have a knowledge of a working Web3 devs to know where to avoid and how to wire those things together. It only care about getting the functions done, right? That is different, right? If I could attach like 10 different adapters to this laptop to make the whole things out there, but it's not efficient. And if somebody just come and like trip on one of those things, it's break, right? It's far less than using just one of the adapters, which is what pretty much what all the other tools, which is what Claude Code is doing. And all the other models, when it comes to Web3 code, the context window are much shorter. And why is that? Because the contract level logic and protocol level logic is kind of hard. It's harder than actual JavaScript or Python. And when it's putting all the computational power into that, the context window is pretty short. It starts drifting or reporting for, just like Cursor, right? I didn't name Cursor, but just like Cursor, it started like reporting something it actually didn't do, right? So Claude Code is probably the most performant model you want to use. If not, you probably want to learn CLI. And here's some real online feedbacks. Let me read you some. So for Solidity specifically, right? So let's start with Augment Code. Augment Code is pretty good in terms of powerful models because it's automatically connected into Claude. It's good with professional and large code base, but the security side, it's not the best practice. There's no dedicated modes. The security flaws like reentrancy or overflow are often spotted. And it might suggest like unit testing for smart contracts or catch that a state update is missing, right? So it can be a productive booster in Solidity. It writes it quickly, but developer oversight is crucial, right? You have to watch it actually working. So Augment is a good tool, but obviously something is missing. Kilocode, it can use like Solidity trained models like Llama 7B Instruct, which is pretty good. Community reference is that it's kind of like a multi-chain security audit explorer for Solidity contracts. You can use it for auditing, which is great. And especially if you're working with something like like a debug mode or something. So pretty much among Solidity, like Kilocode with that specific model is the best one among all of those. Tray also does not offer any Solidity specific features. So basically, it just solely rely on like the LLMs to develop it. But for starters, it's pretty good. If you never use AI tools to write smart contract code, you might want to start with it. Not here. You have Nora now. So so Cursor is good, but then Cursor, as most people have tried, which we have done extensive research into, it's going to drift, it's going to lie, and people said it's going to act like it was drunk. And sometimes they can skipping like important files like smart contracts or misunderstanding the project requirements. It can sort of like sometimes it defaults to hard hat. Sometimes it's so you generally have to be very careful with the AI generated fixes. So so I think the old version doesn't allow you to you can reveal diffs before you're applying them, which is good, but make sure you do that every time. And Cursor just it's still the most prominent tools in all of the hackathons and other stuff, but you have to be paying very close attention to what I just mentioned, to all of those important points. Right. So why we built Nora, right? This is something that we've done before. The problem we were trying to solve, as I just like lightly touched this a little bit, the Web3 code is actually harder than Web2 code. because it's protocol logic, or especially if you're not like with the contract level logic, if you're with the chain level logic, it's significantly harder, which needs a higher intelligence model. Oh, come on. Yeah, so basically, as I said, last Friday, we need something purposely built for Web3 and blockchain languages. How does it work? I'm not going to dive into it. It takes like 15 minutes, but imagine how like, have you guys heard of it like AlphaGo? Like the one that plays like, the plays goes like, it beats all the world champions and stuff. AlphaGo plays with itself and younger models to learn Go, and it becomes the best chess player in the whole wide world. This one uses the same way. We have a secondary model on top of like any LLMs. We offer like 5 different LLMs, so it basically, we train that model, and which makes it sort of like specifically built for Web3. And right now we support Solidity, but Move and Rust are next on the map. So if you're coding for EVM, that should be enough. So this is probably the most performant model you can find on the market. And we have like automatic embedded tax list, which I'm not going to talk too much about now. You can see it within the next like 20 minutes. Shortcomings, I say UIs. Like, don't tell my boss I said that, but like Nora has functional UIs, just like Cursor or anything else, but it's like black and white, like not exciting ones. Like you have like Windows 95 UIs, and so what I would suggest is do the same thing, right? Like do your thing in Lovable and copy and paste it back to Nora and everything like that. And yeah, within 15 minutes we'll talk about how do you work with it. So let's just dive into something before. Or I know I haven't covered like way too much about like higher end of details. So if you're really proficient dev and you want to elaborate any one of the points before I talk about, come to me in the 15 minutes, and we'll see you back here in, I don't know, 3:20? Yeah, 3:20 for Nora. Cool, thank you. You don't have to do this. I'm going to give you access.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to give you access. It's fine. Yeah, what's up? Oh, thanks. 讲中文，讲中文。
你的 Derek， 你 last name 是什么？
陈。
陈是吧？
Wait, Victor?
对，你好。
Dude.
等一下，我看一下。
I know you.
是
这个。
OK。
我们那个2023年的 Denver？
可能是在
2024年的 Denver。
但是你这个应该是会有 message 清理是吧？
不对，我们加了微信。
哦，我们加了微信。
对，我们加了微信。对。没事，我在微信上给你发消息吧。
好啊。
对。但这个我觉得讲有点基础。
它有很多工具我没有用过啊，那个
对，就是
code 我没有用过。
对，但这个主要是
我用的 Flow Code， 然后我们团队现在有些人在用 Open Code， 然后
那个也还不错。
对。你们是做 Nova 是吧？
对。
专门给 Solidity 做的是吗？
是专门给23做的。现在第一波是 Solidity。我给你发个消息。
这个是 DC 是吧？
对。
啊对。哎呀，当时我们都比现在瘦一些。
哎，别说了。对，我都不知道你也过来了，我以为这是你还一直在湾区呢。
我是在湾区啊。
啊，你专门飞过来为了这个？
对。
哇！
想参加这个山海屋的。
太牛了，对，还不错，这个其实挺不错。
当时在日本那个叫什么 e-talk 的时候，我就想来。
对，不是马上要开始吗？
对，去年的时候我在那儿听说了山海屋，然后我就计划今年要过来。
我觉得挺好的，这个真是。
哇，你辛苦了，我估计你待会还要主持，一会儿聊，一会儿聊。
Hello，我可以用你电脑吗？OK。不用了，不用了，不用了。我突然想起来有一个东西，它不用翻译了。
哦，好的。
对，
接下来是有教程吗？
对的。
I don't know how I'm stuck with it. What? It's like, I don't know if it's a bug or it's my own issue.
Wait, have you tried? Okay, I see this when I was downloading my laptop the other day, right?
Yeah.
I closed it, just reopened, and just fixed.
Because I'm doing that right now. I'm like, close it. No,
What? Wait, what is your Linux version?
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu 22.0.
20.0.
Ubuntu.
I think I use 22.4.
Ubuntu. Wait, what's the number? Serial number?
Yeah, Ubuntu.
Okay. Okay, I've dated this, and we should have an answer very soon, but you can use someone else's Mac right now.
Okay.
Yeah, let me just get started really quick. So, yeah, so that's something.
Okay. But that is working on your.
Yeah, it's working on my and sort of everywhere as well. Yeah, I don't know why it's like this right now, but it's kind of with no help. There's a new version. Oh my god, where is it? To download it? Okay, cool. All right. All right, guys, we're good to work. Let's go. Yo, what's up? Let's do something about it. So all right, let's go. Let's give everybody Nora early access, and we're good to go for something. Yeah. First of all, if you got a laptop, feel free to go to this page. This page is mynora.ai. Yeah, this is very simple. Blah blah blah. And I don't know if you downloaded it earlier than yesterday. I suggest you updating it because we got a feature approved like today or something. So we got Windows and Mac and Linux. We got 0.4.5. If you open Nora and your version says 0.5.4, you want to just do Nora and check for updates. Okay, 4.5 is going to save you a lot of time because I have auto approval. But then, like overall, it's going to be a little bit different. So, yeah. We'll be waiting for all of you guys to finish downloading, and we'll be good to start. It's mynora.ai. Forget about early access. Like, I have early access for all of you guys. So. Oh yeah, you can update it. Yeah. Let me see what's going on. Should I start? You guys seem finished, right? Okay, let's do it. Okay, yeah. So you guys should be looking at something like this, and if you just do what I do, which is really simple, you just click login, and it takes you on a Nora website, and you log in with your Google, whatever it comes up with. Pick one of your accounts, and it's going to authentication, and you log in. It will ask for a invite code. The invite code is Shanghai Wood 2025. Okay, it's just Shanghai Wood 2025. You just put that in there. It should take you to the tier. Like if you just, yeah, I'm gonna wait for you to finish that step. So, yes, the first S is capital, I think. Hey man, what is your sorry, wait, what's going on? What is your account? Can you send me the email? Are you like already logged in on Chrome? Log into Nora on Chrome? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So you might want to do 0.5 for 5 first. I'm asking for real-time support, so. Got it? Anybody didn't have access? Or I don't know why network is slow. Have you put it into the invite code? Oh, all done? Cool. Now you should be looking at something like this. Okay. I suggest you guys to open a folder. Like create a folder somewhere. This is just the VS Code, right? So you guys are familiar, right? Open a folder. So what's going to do next is if you don't open a folder, Nora's going to write, but it's not going to save it to a certain file. But if you open a folder, and Nora will be, so for example, I set up like a code trial folder right there. So yeah, it's going to start writing everything and put it in there. So. What's your email? Have you sent me? Okay, awesome. All right, so yeah, this is, you guys might see a different chat window here, which is the main one, right? It's the same thing. Some features are what I've talked to you about before. Let me go through the very basic ones. Agent, it's agent mode, right? Ask mode is not up on yet. In between auto, you can choose all the 5 different models. The most reliable one and what we recommend is Gemini, because Gemini is it's kind of durable, right? You can use it for like a very long time. Opus will take out your credits very soon. I'm not gonna lie. Opus will take out your credit maybe like three minutes or something. Yeah, Gemini is pretty good. I wouldn't personally suggest using GPT, right? It's not great in code, but Gemini is enough. And auto is also Gemini, so you don't have to do anything about it. Auto approval, like you can start doing auto approval for a lot of things. You have to manually click. If you see what I'm doing now, you have to manually execute commands or write an edit file. If you don't do that, it's going to ask for your approval every step of the way, which is also fine, but you have to keep clicking till you get really, really annoyed or really, really bored. But that was how we designed it, so make sure you don't overlook anything. So yeah, if you're really confident in your development levels, I suggest you just to skip everything and play it right now. You know, like I was aiming for the average, for the average dev experiences here. If you feel confident, do something really hard. And one more button, sorry. Add context is really important, right? So this is where we put all the context windows. You can either add rules, which you can directly import, so you can just if you have a Claude or a cursor rule set up, save it as a file, and you could directly just import it into Nora, right? Like seamless, because it's all VS Code, right? It's pretty simple. Files and folders, those are for the overall very general context things. For example, I was just talking about, if you want to import a whole EIP proposal, which is new and experimental, you can do it, right? You just search online, EIP something, it hasn't been voted, it hasn't been put into effect, but it has a pretty good, updates into everything, and you just download it as a file, and you just put it in there. So this one is actually pretty important. Also, if you want to migrate your work, right? For example, which is really common, you use Lovable to write a front end, and you use some other tools to write maybe a Python part of the back end, and you want Nora to understand it. Here's also where you put in the files, right? This one, this little button right there, is for Nora to understand all the other part of your project, and eventually to help to write the on-chain contract part of it. So yeah. If you're a good dev, or if you feel confident, start playing around with it. You don't have to listen to me. Give them throw Nora really complex things. Let me start small. Okay, let me kind of start small, and we're going to add some difficulties on top of it. One of the most common thing that we do is that we do I was actually going to show you guys a video to sort of capture the whole features onto it. Let me see if we can just do that. I don't know if it.
Today, we're presenting Nora, the most performant AI agent for blockchain development.
So technically, throw in a prompt.
How it ships production-ready dApps from a single prompt.
It's going to create a whole to-do list for you.
On your project into a complete engineering roadmap. Nora thinks through
You guys see it? It's kind of small.
Scaffolding, wallet integration, smart contracts, UI, and testing, all in the right order.
So it's going to create a workspace, and for all the previous initializations and things you need to download. If you don't have it, it will add it for you, like Open Zeppelin or some kind of Bash or whatever.
Here's what most developers skip. Nora verifies everything works before.
You have to verify all the scaffold, and you don't have to do a lot of things later. It's kind of optimized to your developer habits.
And ensures your development environment is solid. The wallet integration is already live and working. This isn't a mock-up. you can actually connect your wallet and interact with what Nora built from just text.
Yeah, this step is very common because there's a lot of people who we met is just Web2 devs, right? They have a Web2 project. They were like, okay, how can we use wallet as a login, right? And like normally I would just be like before I would just be like, oh, use Wallet Connect, Realm, anything like that, Rainbow Kit. But with Nora, you can just like import, in the context button, import everything you have, and it says add me like a Wallet Connect section. It's going to add it for you and pop it up in a local host, and you can actually connect your wallet through like some Chrome or something. So that's kind of convenient. So if you're going for that path, this is what you want to do, right?
The interface looks polished with real functional components.
Yeah, this is localhost, and your project you can actually connect it to something.
Now we're getting serious. Nora just wrote a complete
So
lending
this is
protocol
the
with
core
deposits,
contracts. I don't
borrowing,
need to
and
explain.
interest calculations that
I'm
work
going to show you what it's like later.
Compiled
There's somewhere that
successfully
you
on
can
the
just
first
click
try.
into it.
This is where Nora shines. It automatically writes comprehensive tests.
So
because it understands
tests are going to be
smart
next
contracts
section,
handle real
usually.
money and can't have bugs. When something breaks, Nora doesn't just throw
Nora,
it.
we put a lot of
It
effort
analyzes
into
what
making
went
that
wrong
a
and
self-correcting
helps
tool. So whenever it has, some kind of real crazy things happen,
Even when
tell them to
tests
fix
fail,
it.
you see
You'll be
Nora
fine.
methodically working through each issue until everything passes. All tests screen, gas optimization looking good, a solid foundation you can build on with confidence. Nora builds the user-facing parts, balanced displays that connect to your wallet, real-time position tracking.
So this one
all
is
the
where it
interactive
actually
elements
builds
for
the
a real
UI.
financial outcome.
It's pretty good.
Here's
Like
where it
Nora
gets
is,
sophisticated.
as I
Nora
said, it's
integrates
functional,
with
right?
oracles
But
for
if you want to
accurate
polish
pricing
it,
data,
you
ensuring
got
users
a lot of
always see
options to
current
do
market
that.
values. Nora also cares about
And the final thing is what it can do is development script, like deployment scripts, right? So it's going to actually generate the thing you copy and paste into a terminal, which is really beginner friendly because you don't understand how NPM works, right? That's it's going to do it for you, right? So yeah.
What makes Nora different? Is it
Okay. This is just like, let's forget all the marketing costs, like marketing talks. That's not how I'm here to try to impress you guys, right? You guys already have the ways for to do it. I'm just going to walk through like an end-to-end project for you. So, it feels like something here. Let's start with something really, really simple, right? So in the video, we just built like a lending protocol, and you can just do the same here. As what I said, if you're a proficient dev, don't listen to me, or try it on yourselves, right? Like try it on, like tell them to build like a whole EIP for a whole like working example for a new EIP, right? Do that. But if you're like not exactly like Web3, you don't have a great literacy for Web3, we can walk through all of this together. So you can say like build a modular. That's kind of important, right? Because you want it to build on some other stacks later. Build a modular DEX or lending protocol. Those are simple works, right? Simple works. Build a modular lending protocol so we can add more things later. All right. So start generating. This is Gemini, by the way. I have the auto approve on. It's within in a certain file. And let it think for maybe like 20 to 30 seconds, and you're going to see something popping up. Can you see the little small like characters? It spin out the whole plan. Can you see it? Okay, you can see it, that's great. But yeah, basically what you can see here is project setup. You have the core protocol design, core contracts, the plugin system, tests, deployment scripts, and example module implementation, right? It's not always default to have the UI. You have to tell it to do so. So like if you were like, oh, build me a UI, and we'll do it. But if it's not including the task list, which is normal, but you just have to tell at the very end to let it do it for you. So here's how it usually works. Right, so project setup, I think it's just like Forge, like there's a Foundry project, everything. I think that's here. So you see, like it's already creating all of these together, right? And start writing files. Lending pool, collateral manager, interest rate model, price oracle, everything that's in there. And if you want to check how exactly what is going, I have auto approval on. If you don't have auto approval, for every single file, it's going to ask for approval to write the rest of the things. And you can click into this. And once you click into this, you can see that, like it's automatically highlighted Solidity 0.0, interface and function, everything. And you can show you like automatically open on the left side, right interfaces, which file is it. And you can sort of change something over here, do some customizations. It's all automatic. So core protocol design is already finished. We're finishing with the second step. I'm just going to let you guys watch for the rest of it. I think it's pretty good. Again, this is a Lightning protocol. This is the most basic work, but feel free to test the limit of it. I think it's fine. We've tested a lot of like, ultra hard stuff. I think it did just fine. Core contracts are done. So there's a plugin system, and it kind of allows the owner to register and manage different modules. So give you a plugin system. You can do this and that, and you can use it on your laptop, man. It's fine. I mean, like honestly, feel free to test the limit, like really do. Or if you just want to do something with me, you can just put in the same thing on your laptop. Like have it look at your own screen, right? How this works, how many steps did it create it, and what are the UIs, and I think all you need to do is just like submit up some like local hosts and stuff, and it should be fine. So yeah, lending pool, mock ERC20, lending pool, initial test. All right, so now we're getting to the test section. There has been like roughly like 2 to 3 minutes, right? Yep, there's a mistake in the middle and start like, sort of like fixing on itself. But if you can see on the left, right, this is what it just created, like from library to script to SRC, the core one, and all the testing sections, README, everything. So this is what it is able to do within 3 minutes. It just saves you a lot of time compared to the other tools, I would just say, because you don't have to look into one by one. You can just more like, hey, I want to test this out. Okay, I just got an answer for that guy. Okay, man. He thinks it's the VPN issue. Have you used a VPN anywhere? Can you use it? Use it and put it on system level. Maybe it'll work fine. Yeah, because I think it's something about that. All right, it just corrected something, and all right. I think it has three places it was stuck, but the testing is now done. It was like auto-completing itself. Great, the test now passed, and command was completed. So yeah. So yeah, now it should be okay. Yeah, it actually wants me to run this in the terminal, but I didn't have it open. So yeah. So, okay, so basically this is like a fully functional VS Code, right? You can actually, if you want, you can use Cloud Code in here if you want. Yeah, just simply like have the terminal open and everything, and just like, this is extension, right? So you can just put the whole thing in there. But yeah. Now that is passed. So there's, now we're doing different part of the test for this one is for borrow and repay functions. Deposit and withdrawal are passed. There's a different one. 3 of the 4 succeeded. Now it's doing something. All right, it's done. 4 tests fast. So yeah, pretty much you have all the backend done here. You know, like that's a Lightning protocol. It's not a big, you know, big stress task, but you get to at least, you know, like if you're you get to, you know, deploy your own forked version of a something that's OpenZeppelin. I'm not really exactly sure if that's like, you know, Aave or something, but Desk is the same thing. You can now just right now we're kind of like over for like maybe 10 minutes or less. You can have your own forked version of a Uniswap, V2 or V3 at your choice, right? If you're like, let's say if you're building like something for a new public chain, right? Their EVM, and you wanted to spin something up. Usually, you know, before it would take weeks. Now it's like, you know, minutes. Yeah. So now it's more tests for what is the function for this? Yeah. If it's testing, I'll let it run. But anyways, like I expect I'm not going to be talking here forever. After I'm just showcased through the whole thing, probably spin up a local host, probably not, and then I'm just gonna go around and talk to everybody, feedbacks, how they're running, especially if we're testing the limit. Love to help you about it, or if you're running into bugs or anything. Like yeah, there's a lot of different things. Why is there a connection error? Okay. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Okay, now it's a mismatch. Could you try it? All right, let's interrupt this and see what's going on. All right. Cool. I'm not going to talk here forever. So if you got any questions, feel free to find me, and I'm just going to check in with everybody. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I'm going to be here right after. So yeah. Oh, this is done? Okay.
这个怎么连那个 WS 子系统？
什么
WS 子系统，
什么
No
WS？
subsystem for
就是因为我这是用的是 Windows 系统嘛，我连的是它的一个子
我
系统。
操，兄弟，你这个有点复杂。
但你们这好像还连不
但
了
你下的是 Windows 版本还是 Linux 版本？
Windows 版本。
不是，那你子系统上按理说来说不应该下 Linux 吗？
我的电脑是 Windows。
对，但是如果你要用子系统是一个沙盒的话，你不应该下 Linux 吗？
啊，Linux，对，我可以。
对啊，是不是？
哦，但是这个因为你这个子系统它是没有 UI 的，就只是一个。
OK。但我的意思是就是 OK， 等一下，就是你的意思是你现在 Windows 系统里面没有任何的这个没有任何的这个东西是吧？ OK，我知道你意思了。
我的代码全是在。
对，你的代码全在子系统里面。
对，我必须得用这个去粘它。
我操，兄弟，你这个有点复杂。我帮你问一下吧，我这边有工程师。你可以先用这个 Windows 测试，反正就是这个，或者我看你子系统里面的，你去装两套系统对吧？
不是，就是 Windows 它有个功能，就是让就是叫。
是 Windows 几
Windows 11。
？OK。
What did you say? WSL.
哦，我知道了。
I think it's because Nora isn't
对
connected in the
Yeah,
environment
because
variable.
because what I thought is just be like, if you're using a bunch array, all you need to do is 就是你应该在这个 bunch 里面打开一个 Chrome，对吧？然后那个 Chrome 下一个 Linux 版本，这样的所有东西在子系统里面了。
这个子系统它是。
但是我知道你这个应用了，所以这个就有点。
不是那个真正的那种系统。
你是直接在 Windows 那个 App Store 里面装的，对吧？Windows 的什么东西装的 ？Microsoft Store。
Downloaded Ubuntu. Even I had that. No, I have WSL.
Do you got any problems? Oh, it's finished to do.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Finish everything, right? Okay, you can ask it to build a UI for you if it's not, because see, I don't see any UI here. Yeah, you can just build a UI for the whole thing and it'll do it. And once you spin that up in the local host, it'll be really easy. Yeah.
Also for him, like what he was asking Windows subsystem for Linux,
Yeah.
for that you need VS Code to be actually in the environment variable.
Yeah, but
Nora
that's
is not in environment variable at all.
yeah, but that is the Ubuntu in an application.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that
it's
is
not a
needed
sandbox.
because, if I'm using, let's say C++,
Yeah.
then I'll be making CMake files and make files,
Yeah.
right? And few of the times those files won't be running in Windows at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To use WSL, you need the VS Code to be in the path variable.
Yeah, that's the
Nora
thing.
is not in path variable. I think you just need to add this to.
这个给你。
不用了，
不用，我就跟他们聊天就不用了。
就是一会儿讲的时候你再带上。
啊？
一会儿讲的时候你再带上。
没有讲，就剩下就是都是这个线。 not want, I think it would be best for you to like just open it somewhere. Well, yeah, just, I assume you, there's a place called navigation is, I'll just give you yeah, I think you should place for you, so if you already have VS Code, right, there's a place you can just put all the extensions over. If not, like highlighter, right, you see these are not highlighted. If you just for like a solidity highlighter, yeah, I'm not, yeah, you said that one, click one, but yeah, it's a nice word. I think something like, if people want this like, okay, but yeah, if you put that, these are gonna be automatically highlighted just like this. So yeah, it's just function like normal VS Code. So yeah, usually that's the most asked question for extensions. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that brings up a question. Once we, create our support, are we always in charge of own, or do we, just to ensure that the
Yeah,
things that
I see what you mean now. Yes. So there are two things about it. Like when we designed this, right, they thought it'd be like the burden is just like on the developer yourself. Because if you want to publish it, obviously you have to find it auditing something, right? So we do two things. One, we have a built-in auditing function, right? So if you didn't write this, if you write this facility anything, you copy and paste the whole thing and put it into context, and it'll audit it for you. Just say audit it, like just put the whole thing like my token also, say audit it, and just be like, hey, for this one, might be like this pretty flaw, for that one, maybe like this. And after it's done, like in order to audit your code for you, it does generating, auto completion, and also automation. So that's pretty much where able to work. And after that, the thing is like, if you're, the second thing, which is what we're working on, I think I told you yesterday about this, right? So we're working with a few like 24-hour monitoring company to do like an instant test. So we're gonna probably add a few more buttons in here saying like, hey, if you finish, upload this onto some like buzzing or other like checking companies, and it'll be like checking it in the back end to make sure this is like at least this is not malicious, it's not doing anything, and coming back so you can like report it and have the first line of defense. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Of course. So yeah, so there are two ways for you to do that. The first one is just open a folder that has everything. And second, just tell it to read this folder so you understand the context. You literally tell it to read the folder to understand whatever it is. Or second, you just add context. You just throw all the files in there. It doesn't even have to be in the same directory, right? It can be scattered into different folders. Yeah, it can be outside of the parent folder or everything as long as you give the access. Because you ask for it to be like, hey, I trust the author of all the folders, but if you do that and you can be like in this server and that's this folder and that folder, you can put in the context and how to do that.
As a developer, who does it? Who owns the IP?
The what?
The IP rights.
Nora? We're not going to chase you down if you if you just sell it for something. Yeah. I mean, okay, if you use ChatGPT to write your own article, it's yours, right? It's not going to be, yeah. Dude, we're this is aiming to help you, not going to be.
But you guys kind of stop it, everything done.
I think in the user agreement things it says we started that for bug purposes, for bug completing purposes. But we're not going to use it against you because obviously we're registered company there. We're not going to be taking quality this is ours on yeah. There are two things, yeah. So you can see here on the auto section, because auto there are 5 different auto included issues. So yeah. There might be a router issue because I said Singapore because I thought Singapore is already banned a lot, right? But the thing is for whatever that's Florida model, there's a secondary model on top of it, and that's that one we train and we process into the high model things at the same time. So what you saw the result here today, and we didn't complete it, you remember, right? It's the result of the bi-model, so it's just Dude, I'll tell you a funny story later, but yeah. Yeah. Okay. you search that, it'll pop up some news about that. I think it was a month ago. Gemini, it's not ours, like the whole Gemini model, like Google Gemini 2.5, like formal version, has a self-hating like tendency. I'm not kidding. Like if you ask them something for like maybe the fifth questions of the conversation, be like, I hate myself. I'm not a good. Literally, original words. I hate myself. I'm gonna stop working now. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's all my fault. If you hit search it on Chrome, I'm not lying. Gemini self-hating. Yeah, that's a month ago. That's when we're in Europe. So like you go in Europe, it started hating on itself. If you scroll down, you'll see the original. I don't even know what's going on. You see, there's some weird. I quit. I'm clearly not capable of sending this form. I've deleted all the files. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that was really yeah.
Because at the beginning, I think it was Gemini too, where
Yeah.
you tell it, no, that was what you told me is wrong. It
Yeah.
will flash out and say, okay,
Yeah.
this conversation is over.
Yeah.
It's starting the conversation. And
Windsurf
then
does that. Yeah.
They fixed that eventually, and now it's back to self-hating.
I don't know, man. Like this could happen, but it's a model problem. It's not us. Yeah.
This is something else
Yeah.
out of context, right?
Yeah.
There was this same article we were reading, and someone was saying some of them are really just inject. You see,
Injecting into models, yes.
the model when you write
Yeah. Yeah.
let's say white,
Yeah.
passing through.
Yeah, it's passing through that. Injections are something that it's really hard to do that, which is why like we're protecting like the second model really well. Like we're not giving it to anyone else. Like it has the highest access, not even like I don't have access to that model. So which is why like we're really trying to protect that. And also the fuzzing that I just showed you, right? It's going to check for that specifically. So make sure it's not going to be injecting through anything outside, whatever. If in the user end if in the user end somehow like reverse engineering the whole thing and sort of injecting stuff, I think it's going to be spotted on that end. So.
That second model, I don't see it added here.
No, that's because it's a default that's working with every LLM. That's
It's working with
think of it as a rules for everything. Yeah, or because it's like a lens. Yeah, it's like the rules. It's like it's like a chain that we train with a lot of salinity models. So like so make sure it's best practice. It's not it's not little ones.
Or so it's not something I can take out and say,
And I'm sure like, are you guys like reaching to a point where let's say you want to do not contracting, you can get like different
Yeah.
with the next?
Yes. So if you go onto our Twitter, by the way, so the thing is that we specifically for Global New York, right? What we did is that